There are many inexplicable things in the world that defy human explanation, and if a person cannot find a direct answer to his question, then he begins to believe in the supernatural. Our history is filled with stories attributing strange events to forest spirits, but when they finally tracked down the mysterious beast, they couldn't believe it was capable of such a thing. It happened in the impassable places of Abakan, near one small village where people lived. A mysterious beast appeared in these places, which very cleverly robbed the snares of hunters and carried off the prey along with the noose. Animals are usually not capable of this, since they themselves are likely to get entangled in the loop, but this creature was very agile and apparently knew the design of snares well. Local residents could not determine what it was, whether a man or a beast, but they swept away the idea of a man rather quickly. After all the locals obviously would not do this, and there were no strangers in these places, as he would not have survived alone in such harsh places. There was only one explanation: a wild animal. But what animal could do that? More surprisingly, no footprints were found at the scene. Then the local residents, the Caucases, decided that evil spirits were angry with them for something and they needed to leave gifts. They left in the forest original gifts for evil spirits, the carcasses of small animals, but to their surprise, this did not help either. Evil spirits took the gifts, but in the meantime, they continued to steal the snares and traps of hunters. Then it was decided to ambush this elusive creature. The case was entrusted to a local, experienced huntsman who knew these places well. He agreed and began to prepare for his campaign. To begin with, he equipped a special shelter in the place where the mysterious stranger most often visited. The man dug a small hole in the ground where he could hide. Then he broke spruce branches to cover his shelter so he could hide unnoticed. Then he set a trap in the form of an animal carcass at a distance far enough to see who was stealing the prey and still have time to shoot if necessary. He loaded his gun, settled himself comfortably, and waited. It wasn't long before the man noticed that the singing of the birds had died down and it had become very quiet in the forest. A chill ran down the man's back. Suddenly, he experienced a feeling of such overwhelming fear which he had never experienced before. He took out his gun, put his finger on the trigger, ready to shoot at any moment, and did not take his eyes off the bait. Some time passed, and it came out of the bushes. It was a huge wolf, which very deftly pulled the prey out of the trap and immediately began to eat it. The man took aim and was about to shoot it when he suddenly noticed the wolf's neck. It was clearly wearing a leather collar. The man almost dropped the gun in surprise. It turns out that this wolf is tame. Then the huntsman decided to do something that no one else would have dared to do. He put the gun aside, carefully stepped out of hiding, and whistled. Usually, local dogs are called with such a whistle, and the man wasn't wrong. The wolf raised its head to the whistle and rushed towards the huntsman. The man at the same moment regretted what he had done. He looked longingly back at the gun, which lay in the shelter. The huntsman would not have time to reach it. In a moment, the wolf was near. It was so huge, coming up almost to the man's waist. When the wolf was close, it fell on its back in front of the man, showing its tummy. Then the wolf stood up and affectionately nuzzled the man's leg. The man was so frightened that he did not move for a long time. The wolf lifted its head and looked the man straight in his eyes. It was such a devoted and sad look, as if he had missed this man all his life. Only now the huntsman remembered one man who lived in these parts. Once upon a time, he found a little wolf cub in the forest whose mother was shot by poachers. The man rescued the pup, and they lived together in an old hut in the depths of the forest. They lived together for several years, and then, unfortunately, the man died, and the wolf ran away into the forest. But he could not join a pack of wolves. He was too attached to a person, so he remained alone. However, it is quite difficult for a lone wolf to feed himself, so he found a very easy way for himself to find food. Living with a man, a hunter, he knew the device of snares and traps very well, since he was nearby when his master set them. He even helped him extract the catch, so it was not difficult for him to do it. And so this is how he survived. And now, when he heard a familiar whistle, and that was exactly how his master called him, he was inexpressibly glad that he had finally found his man. The huntsman was touched by the behavior of the wolf, so he decided to keep him. He brought him to the village where he showed the people the one who had intimidated them for so long. People also saw that the wolf was absolutely tame and did not pose any danger to humans. They were not opposed to the huntsman keeping him. Since then, he no longer had to steal snares because now he had an owner who fed him. It's good when all ends well. The wolf got a second chance at life. Yes, in this story it is a wild animal, but how many domestic animals, for various reasons, lose their owners and are left on the street, abandoned and alone? Look around. Maybe a dog or a cat walks somewhere near you, which can become your true and devoted friend. Perhaps it is you who can give them a second chance at a happy life in your family.